Oh, get those. Get him. Get him. Get him.
Ford, he was a kind of a little stinker coming into the world. He took a little bit longer than the rest of the children, but we just expected a healthy baby. The first few days, that's what we thought he was, just a healthy newborn baby, until things changed.
One of the doctors had come and told us that he had a condition called coarctation of the aorta. We had no idea what that meant. We were being told that he needed very urgent and close to immediate heart surgery.
Well, Sunday morning, we got a phone call. The doctor had called to tell us that Ford was not moving. There was no motor skills. We needed to figure out what was causing this paralysis.
All of a sudden, what seemed like a nightmare the day before, it sounded like a pretty good condition. Was if we could just get to the point he could have the surgery, things would be great. We had planned something different, and he was there, and at some points we didn't know if he'd be coming home or not.
One of the things that helps when you're feeling hopeless is to be able to see all these doctors and nurses that knew so much that we obviously didn't know, and they were so confident. We put a lot of trust in people we didn't know.
That was probably the most emotional part of the experience, is when the paralysis went away and we realized that he'd be able to have his operation after all. And those several-hour gaps when he was in the operating room were some of the toughest times for us. He looked rough. He had everything hooked up that you could possibly hook up to a baby. I don't think there were more places they could put holes or meters or whatever they had hooked up to him.
I remember the second morning of his birth, he had these eyes that just looked at me. And then it hurt so much in the hospital because his eyes were closed for about most of the 2 weeks.
I saw the family of a baby who had just passed away, and we knew that we were pretty grateful and pretty fortunate to have what we had.
It was really heart-wrenching, I think, to me when he was intubated, so he wasn't able to make noise. He was trying to scream, but there was no...
His vocal cords were blocked by the tube,
yeah,
and so
there was no sound.
He was crying, but there was no noise. Crying became a sound we were looking for as we were going through the weeks in the hospital. It was a great day when we heard him cry again.
That was a wonderful feeling to have him in my arms again and not be hooked up to so many things, and that I could touch him and hold him.
It's been a remarkable transition from this nightmare experience to today, where if his shirt's on, you can't tell that he's not a 100% normal baby.
We hope for Ford's future that eventually down the road that chicks will dig scars. Definitely. I think there's nothing to stop him from anything. I picture him beating up on his brothers and sister and joining the ruckus that we call home.
The human heart, if I had to define it in one word, would be remarkable. The fact that it functions from a power greater than ours, but that we have the ability as people to make it work when it doesn't.
Way to describe the human heart is love, and we have felt that love for Ford, from us as parents to him, from strangers, from doctors, to fix this organ that is supposed to cause us to love.
It's important to us in supporting the American Heart Association that we understood what it does in Utah, what it does for people like our Ford, and know that the funds raised change lives and make life possible.
As the motto goes, built Ford tough.
She was a really, really wanted child.
The moment I saw my daughter born, it's not something you can put into words. And knowing the responsibility and how proud you are and how perfect they are, it's an amazing feeling.
We had her the day before Thanksgiving, and given all the ultrasounds we had, we should have known that there was a problem with her heart, and it just for some reason didn't show itself. At that point, still didn't realize that, oh, lots of babies have murmurs, it's gonna be okay, it's not a big deal. one of the cardiologists from Primary Children's Hospital, and they explained to us that our baby had a defect and that it was going to need surgery. When they take your little baby from you and you don't know that she's coming back, once again, I don't think there are words to explain how helpless you feel, how you want to protect that little one and do all that you can to make sure that she comes back just fine. They had stuck a little heart on her bed at the hospital, and at that point we realized, oh, Happy Valentine's Day, honey. And then we thought, is that so ironic that her heart's repaired on a heartfelt day? So it was wonderful.
After the surgery, and they told us we could go look at her and go visit her, they warned us of how she would look. And I don't think it quite prepared us for it.
No.
You go around the corner, and it's meds stacked all the way to the ceiling.
Obviously, you can see the scar and the bandages and just so many things that you look at and you realize every one of those is critical in keeping her alive. It's overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. We've learned several things. One, that we're much stronger than we ever thought we were. The other thing that we learned of her is how strong and how tough she is. We were so worried about her because she's so little, but I think in the end, she did a lot better than we did. She's strong and she's tough and she's amazing. She's taught us so much about, look what she's been through, and it doesn't stop her one bit. Shane, her needing surgery again, that's hard. Knowing that we're gonna have to face that again. But when we realized the Heart Association and all the research that they put into the technology that will be part of Shane's next surgery, we felt it very important that that's where we wanted to give. So that's what we decided, is that this year and for years to come, that this was going to be our focus, to try and help people that suffer with heart defects and failure. She's supposed to be running on low fuel, and we can't keep up with her.
And she's just go, go, go. If I'm outside, she's outside running laps around me, and you can't hold her down.
She swims. She has no fear of the water whatsoever. She just goes. She follows her older sister in dance, and she thinks that she can dance just as well as her older sister, who's been dancing for years.
Oh, it's exciting to see every day. As fast as she learns and grows. But she just is a loving little girl, and she's shy, but she has a lot of love to give.
When she was laying there in that bed and looking up with her big eyes, when that's all that she could really move, we both looked at each other one day, I remember, and said, you know what, there's a reason she's here. We've fought hard to get her here, and she's fought hard to stay here. And sometime in her life, we'll know why.
This one's just the beginning of it all. No marks. It's still perfect to me in this one. Perfect as to what I thought it would be. They sent us up to Primary Children's for a fetal echo. And then they did the whole workup on that, and they noticed that it was hypoplastic left heart.
My heart went out to him knowing that he was gonna have a really tough life to start out.
The waiting during the surgery was horrible, because it was a 6-hour surgery.
It was exciting to go back in the room and to see that he was still with us.
You don't ever want to see your child hooked up to tubes and relying on pacemaker and medications and all sorts of things to keep him alive.
It was hard and scary to see that there's still a lot that could still happen and go wrong.
This was a drastic day, and it's the day that I feel like the worst mother ever. Because he shouldn't have to look like that. And that's the day that we went into the ER. We knew something was drastically wrong with him. Once he was diagnosed with RSV, after he had been on the transplant list and they had taken him off. And it was just about when everybody else had given up on him, and I had even given up on him too. We didn't think there was a chance that he would get over RSV. This is his birthday, his first birthday, and he gets to have it in the hospital. Amazingly enough, he was able to fight off RSV and he got relisted for a heart. His nurse knew that I hadn't held him for a month. They let me hold him and I rocked him for, I think, 5 hours. I got a caller that day and say today's the day, because there was a family in Kansas City who had a tragic accident. We don't know exactly what happened. They were selfless enough to donate their child's organs. And George was lucky enough to get his heart. And it was a perfect match.
We finally got the answer to our prayers, and we received the miracle that we were hoping for.
I couldn't wait to write this family a letter and tell them the amazing thing that they've done for us. That I could see my baby boy Pink for the first time.
In the hospital stay, the doctors were worried that George had suffered major brain damage, and they prepared us that he wouldn't be the same George that we knew. And this picture says it all. That with his smile, that he'd be the same George that he always was.
This is the day after our 3-month stay that we got to take George home. Well, his scar means a lot to me. It means how strong he is and how much he's been through in his short little life so far. And mostly, I mean, scars on boys are pretty darn cool. So he can have some really good stories to tell his friends when they ask him what everything is, so.
He's fought hard to be here, and I just love him to death. George wouldn't be here had it not been for the medical advances that have come from the American Heart Association.
It's just an amazing thing what one person can do.